Take a whole clove of garlic. Hold it to your nose. Smell it. There's almost nothing there. Maybe a faint earthy scent from the papery skin. But no garlic smell. Not yet. Now crush that clove under the flat of a knife. Within 2 or 3 seconds, the smell hits you. Sharp, pungent, unmistakable. Here's what makes this strange. A chemical has just been born that didn't exist 5 seconds ago. The garlic didn't store it. It didn't make it ahead of time. It stored 2 separate ingredients, kept them apart, and waited. This isn't a flaw in the plant's chemistry. It's a defense system, a 2-part chemical weapon that assembles itself only at the moment of attack. And the fact that it works at all tells us something remarkable about how evolution solves problems. The garlic clove is made of cells. Inside each cell, the cytoplasm, the main fluid inside the cell, contains a compound called alliin. Alliin is a sulfur-containing derivative of the amino acid cysteine. In its stored form, it's completely stable and completely odorless. You could hold a vial of pure alliin to your nose and smell nothing. But the cell also contains something else. Floating in a separate membrane-bound compartment called the vacuole is an enzyme named alliinase. Its only job is to cut a specific chemical bond in alliin. And as long as the vacuolar membrane stays intact, alliin and alliinase never meet. Then something breaks the cell wall. A soil fungus trying to infect the bulb underground, a herbivore biting into the plant, or you, in your kitchen, with a knife. The membrane ruptures. Alliin and alliinase mix. The reaction is fast. Alliinase cleaves the carbon-sulfur bond in alliin, producing a short-lived intermediate called allyl sulfenic acid, along with ammonia and pyruvate. Within seconds, 2 molecules of that intermediate condense together and form a new compound, diallyl thiosulfonate, allicin. Allicin is the smell of crushed garlic, and it's also one of the most reactive natural products known. Its structure contains a sulfur bridge that's hungry to react with other molecules, and specifically, allicin attacks the sulfur-containing parts of proteins. When it encounters a bacterial cell, it oxidizes the proteins the bacterium needs to survive. The bacterium's enzymes stop working, its membranes become damaged, and it dies. This is a broad-spectrum antimicrobial weapon, and the plant can't use it without destroying its own cells first. Every time garlic deploys allicin, it sacrifices the very cells that released it. It's a suicide bomber strategy at the cellular level, evolved, not chosen. But the chemistry doesn't stop at allicin. Allicin is unstable. At room temperature, its half-life in water is roughly 16 hours, meaning half of it has broken down into other compounds by the end of the day. It decomposes into diallyl disulfide, diallyl trisulfide, a compound called ajoine, and several other organosulfur molecules, each with its own distinct smell and its own chemical behavior. This instability isn't a design flaw. It's a feature. A weapon that self-destructs within hours doesn't poison the soil indefinitely. The garlic bulb can launch its chemical attack, and by the time the immediate threat is gone, the active compound has already degraded. The battlefield cleans itself. You can see this chemistry play out in your own kitchen. The way you prepare garlic changes the chemical outcome. Crushing produces maximum cell damage and maximum allicin. Slicing breaks fewer cells and produces less. Cooking a whole clove produces almost none because heat denatures the alliinase enzyme, unfolding the protein and destroying its catalytic ability before it ever gets the chance to meet alliin. That's why roasted whole garlic tastes mild and sweet instead of sharp and burning. It isn't a different ingredient. It's a different chemical reaction, or rather, the absence of one. Garlic isn't the only plant that does this. Onions, shallots, leeks, and chives, the entire allium genus, use the same two-compartment strategy. They all store sulfur-containing precursors and the enzyme that activates them in separate places. But onions produce something different. When you cut an onion, the same initial reaction happens. The enzyme cuts the precursor, but then the chemistry takes a different fork in the road. Onions produce an extra enzyme, discovered in 2002, and called lacrimatory factor synthase. This enzyme grabs the reactive intermediate and converts it into a different compound entirely, syn-propanethyl S-oxide, a volatile molecule that diffuses through the air, reaches your eyes, and reacts with the water on your eye surface to form a mild acid, similar to diluted sulfuric acid. Your eyes water to flush it out. Same storage strategy, same initial reaction. One extra enzyme, and suddenly you have tear gas instead of an antimicrobial. Garlic doesn't have that enzyme, so its intermediates condense into allicin instead. Same plan, different weapon. So why did garlic evolve this system in the first place? The best supported explanation points underground. Garlic evolved as a bulb living in soil, and soil is dense with fungi and bacteria competing for nutrients and attacking living tissue. A broad-spectrum chemical weapon that deploys on contact makes a lot of sense in that environment, though the exact balance of threats, fungi, bacteria, or hungry herbivores is inferred from how the system behaves today rather than known directly from the fossil record. We do have direct evidence of an evolutionary arms race in action. In 2019, researchers isolated a strain of Pseudomonas fluorescens bacteria living right in garlic tissue and found it had evolved partial resistance to allicin. These bacteria could tolerate concentrations of the compound that would kill other bacteria. That's direct evidence of coevolution. Garlic deploys allicin. Bacteria evolve to survive it. Garlic faces renewed pressure, and the cycle continues. There's a fair counter-argument worth considering. Maybe the two-compartment system isn't a weapon at all. Many plants store enzymes and their substrates in separate compartments for routine metabolic housekeeping. Broccoli and other cruciferous vegetables do something similar with compounds called glucosinolates. Perhaps garlic's compartments are just cellular organization, and allicin's antimicrobial activity is a convenient side effect. But 3 lines of evidence push against that reading. First, scale. Garlic invests up to 2% of its dry weight in alliin, an enormous metabolic commitment that plants don't typically spend on a side effect. Second, the resistance evidence. Bacteria that have specifically evolved to tolerate allicin tell us this compound has been exerting real selective pressure for a long time. Third, the pattern across the genus. Garlic and onions use the same two-compartment architecture, but produce completely different chemical outputs, exactly what you'd expect from an adaptive system, rather than a metabolic accident. The next time you crush a clove of garlic under the flat of a knife, you're not just cooking. You're triggering a chemical defense that's been evolving for tens of millions of years. The smell that hits you isn't just flavor. It's the sound of a plant screaming in a language made of sulfur. This is reasonable wonder. Big questions, clear science.